chosen one. The father smiled today, wide, like a father whose child just did the very thing he had been hoping to see. And then he laughed, the way only joy that cannot be contained laughs, and the sound of it spilled over the edges of heaven and reached into the moment you are sitting in right now. Your last move took him by surprise. Not because he did not see it coming. He saw it coming before you were born. He took it by surprise, the way a father is surprised when his child finally understands something he has been waiting for them to grasp. You went further than you had to. You chose him when the choice was costly. You moved when staying still would have been easier. And the response in the courts of heaven was joy. I am not romanticizing your day. The Father has a way of celebrating the obedience of his children that the world does not have language for. This message is that language. Stay with me, because what comes next is what he is preparing in response to what you did. And nothing in your life is going to feel quite the same after you hear it. Before we go deeper, one quick note. Everything in this message is free. But if your spirit ever tells you there is more, the description below and the pinned comment hold the next step. Only click if you feel led. And before we continue, I want to tell you exactly what you are about to walk through. By the end of this message, you are going to understand the reason God smiled today and what your last move actually did in the unseen realm. You are going to see the 3 specific areas of your life that are being reorganized in response to that single act of obedience. You will meet a woman from a long time ago whose move took heaven by surprise the same way yours did. You will learn how to recognize the quiet signs that confirmation is already on the way. And right before this message closes, I am going to speak something specific over your life that I believe will stay with you for the rest of this week. So settle in. Do not let this moment pass. Now let me take you back to where you actually are. It is the morning after, or the days after, or sometime in this quiet stretch where the world has moved on but you have not. You are sitting somewhere. Maybe at a kitchen counter with coffee that has gone cold. Maybe on the edge of a bed before the day pulls you forward. Maybe in your car after pulling into a parking lot, sitting still for an extra minute before going in. And in the back of your mind, there is one thought that keeps returning. Did that thing I did really matter? Did anyone even notice? Was it as small as it felt? I want you to know that I see the question, and I want to answer it honestly. From where you are sitting, the move did look small. It looked like just one decision in a string of decisions you make all the time. It felt like just another quiet yes that no one was around to witness. It seemed like just a small adjustment, not a turning point. And that is exactly how it was supposed to look, because the moves that matter most in the kingdom of God almost never look like they matter. They are quiet. They are unwitnessed. They are the kind that only the Father sees in real time. But the Father did see, and he responded. And in the 24 hours since you made the move, he has been sending you signs that you may not have known how to read. The first sign is the one you have probably already noticed, but have not connected to anything. It is a strange wave of peace that has been arriving at random moments. You will be doing something completely ordinary, washing a dish, walking down a hallway, scrolling on your phone, and then for no reason that you can name, peace comes. Not happiness, not relief. Peace. Heavy and warm and certain. And when you try to figure out what triggered it, you cannot find an external cause. That is because there is no external cause. That is heaven responding to what you did, dropping into your inner world the way light drops through a window. If something just registered inside you, type the words, "I felt that" into the comments below. Sometimes naming a thing is how you confirm it is real. The second sign you may have noticed is harder to describe. It is a quiet pulling away from things and people and conversations that used to anchor your daily life. The shows you used to watch feel hollow. The group chats you used to engage with feel draining. The old patterns of how you spent a Tuesday evening no longer fit. You are not depressed. You are not isolating. You are being detached from the version of life that belonged to the you before the move. The you that exists after the move needs a different daily landscape, so the old one is being quietly cleared. The third sign has been showing up in numbers and small repeating signals. The same number on a clock, more than once in the past day. The same word from a stranger that someone in your circle had spoken to you the day before. A song coming on at the precise moment you were thinking about a line from that song. These are not coincidences. These are little fingerprints of heaven placed in your week, so that you would know your move was witnessed and the response is in motion. And the fourth sign is timing. People reaching out exactly when you needed to hear from them. Information arriving from unexpected places at the exact moment a question was forming in you. A verse, a sentence, a video, even this message itself, landing in front of you the very day you were quietly asking whether your obedience was actually being seen. Heaven is not subtle when it confirms. Heaven is just quiet. The confirmation has been arriving since the moment you made the move, but the world is so loud that most chosen ones miss it. Now, what I am about to say next is the part that almost everyone misses. The signs are not the response. The signs are the announcement that a response is coming. The actual response, the cascading reordering of your life, has not even fully begun. So before I show you what is being prepared, I have to take you back to the question you have been quietly asking your whole life, because the answer to that question is the whole reason God laughed today. You have spent more time than you would admit asking yourself one form of the same question. Am I enough? Was that enough? Did I do enough? Will anyone ever notice? And the season you have been walking through, the long stretch where things were quieter than you wanted them to be, has felt like proof that the answer is no. Like maybe you really were just not enough. Like maybe nobody really was watching. Like maybe the move you made would slip into the long list of unnoticed obediences that no one ever talks about. I want to reframe that whole season for you tonight. Because what felt like silence was not silence. What felt like delay was not delay. What felt like being overlooked was not being overlooked. The quiet season you walked through was a formation chamber, and the Father was building something inside you that he could only build in the quiet. He was building three things in you that you could not have built in any other season. The first thing he was building was discernment, the ability to hear the still small voice in a world that screams. You did not learn it from a book. You did not learn it from a teacher. You learned it from the long nights when you had nothing to do but listen, from the days when no human voice could give you the answer you needed, from the slow process of mistakenly listening to the wrong voice, suffering the consequences, and learning to recognize the texture of the true voice next time. The move you made today was the move of someone who has learned to listen, and that does not happen in noise. The second thing he was building was resilience, the ability to keep moving when no one is applauding, the ability to stay faithful when no one is watching, the ability to choose what is right when the easier choice would have been invisible to everyone except your own conscience. The move you made today was a move of resilience, and resilience is the kind of strength that has to be earned in seasons where there is no audience. The third thing he was building was anchored faith, not the kind of faith that needs to see the outcome before it acts, not the kind of faith that needs 3 people to confirm before it moves, the kind of faith that has learned to make the move first and let the confirmation arrive afterward. That is the deepest faith there is. And the only place it can be built is in the long stretch of unconfirmed waiting that you have just walked through. There was a woman a long time ago who made a move that took heaven by surprise the same way yours did. Her name was Hannah. She had spent years asking God for one thing, and one thing only: a son. She wept for him. She fasted for him. She prayed so intensely that a priest watching her pray once thought she was drunk. And then, finally, after years, she was given the son. His name was Samuel. Now here is what most people miss in her story. The miracle was not the son. The miracle was what Hannah did after the son arrived. Because the moment the boy was weaned, Hannah walked him to the temple and gave him back. Gave him to the very God she had begged for him. Left him at the temple to be raised in service to the Lord. She did not have to do that. Nothing forced her to do that. The world would have understood if she had kept her son after waiting so long. But she had made a vow in the long quiet of her formation, and when the time came, she kept it. And that move, that release of the very thing she had begged for, took heaven by surprise the same way your move did. The Father had not asked her to give him back. She offered, and in response, the heavens opened so wide that one boy, raised in service, became the prophet who anointed 2 kings of Israel. Hannah's quiet move shaped a nation, and it happened because she chose him when no one would have asked her to. In the original Hebrew, there is a word for what happened that day. The word is zakar. It means to remember, to mark, to inscribe permanently. And in the book of Malachi, there is a verse that says, when those who feared the Lord spoke often to one another, the Lord listened, and a book of remembrance was written before him for those who feared the Lord and thought upon his name. That is what happened to your move today. It was marked, recorded, written down in a book that nothing on earth has the power to erase. If you can feel even a small piece of what I am saying landing inside you, type the words "I see it" into the comments below. Sometimes the seeing is the beginning of the receiving. Before I tell you what is about to be released in 3 specific areas of your life because of what you did, I want to pause for a moment, because what I am about to share next changes how you understand everything you have just heard. There is something underneath all of this that I have not told you yet. The reason your move today could even happen the way it did. The reason your discernment was sharp enough to hear. Your resilience was steady enough to act. Your faith was anchored enough to move without confirmation. There is a frequency in the human brain that ancient wisdom traditions and modern neuroscience have both pointed to as the seat of clarity, intuition, and the kind of inner knowing that lets a person act when others freeze. And in most adults, that frequency has been quietly dimmed by the noise of modern life. There is a man named Dr. Robert Lake who spent 34 years studying it, and what he built to help people reawaken it is a 7-minute audio track that he calls the Genius Song. It works through a process called brain entrainment, gently coaxing the brain back into the gamma frequency that researchers at MIT and Princeton have documented as the carrier wave of insight and clarity. I am not going to walk through the whole story right now. If your spirit already tells you this is the tool you have been led toward, the description below and the pinned comment hold what you need. If you want the full context, stay with me. There is much more coming. For those staying, let me tell you what happened on the other side of your move. Because once the move was made, the courts of heaven did not stay silent. The Father did not just smile and leave it at that. A response was set in motion. And I hear the Father saying clearly tonight, did you see that? Did you see what my child just did? And the angels turned their faces toward the throne, and the Father pointed, and a word was released over your life that is already moving through 3 specific areas. The first area is your relationships, and what is shifting there is going to feel disorienting before it feels right. People you thought would always be at the center of your life are going to begin to drift toward the edges, not because of conflict, just because they belong to the version of you before the move. And new people, the kind who speak your real language, are being released to find you. I cannot tell you the timeline. I will tell you in just a moment exactly what to do and what not to do when you feel the shift begin. The second area is your purpose. You have been holding the shape of your calling in your hands for a long time without being sure what to do with it. After this week, you are going to start receiving clarity in fragments. Not the whole map, just the next few steps. And those steps are going to feel almost too obvious, like the answer was always right in front of you. I will walk you through how to handle that clarity in a moment, because there is a way to receive it that opens more doors, and a way to receive it that closes them. The third area is your provision. And I want to be honest with you here, because I am not going to promise you something I cannot promise. What I will tell you is that doors that were closed in your provision are being unlocked, and the timing of when they open is not in your control. But the unlocking has already begun. What comes next is where I show you what role you have to play in walking through them. And before this message ends, I am going to declare something very specific over your life, something I believe will stay with you long after you leave this space, something that anchors everything you have heard tonight into the season you are walking into. So stay with me. The most important part of this message is still ahead. Welcome back, chosen one. Before we walked away, I told you that 3 specific areas of your life are being reorganized because of the move you made. Your relationships, your purpose, your provision. And I told you that what is happening in those 3 areas is the actual response of heaven to what you did. Now let me walk you through each of them, because how you handle these next weeks matters as much as the move you have already made. Let me start with your relationships. For those entering this season, what is shifting in your relationships is not what most people think is happening. You are going to notice that certain people are pulling back, not in a dramatic way, quietly. Their texts will become shorter, their availability will become smaller. The connection that used to feel close will start to feel like it is happening through a thin wall. And here is the part that will hurt. Some of these are people you genuinely love. Some are people who have been with you for a long time. You will wonder if you did something wrong. You will replay conversations in your head, looking for the moment it shifted. Do not. The shift is not because of you. They belong to the version of you that existed before the move. The Father is clearing the space so that the people who belong to the version of you that exists now can find their way to you. So, do not chase. Do not over-explain. Do not try to drag what is over back to life. Just trust that just when you think you are alone, people who speak your actual language will appear, and they will know you the moment they meet you. The second area is your purpose, and what is shifting here is clarity. For a long time, you have been holding what feels like a calling in your hands without being able to see its full shape. You have been waiting for the whole map. You have been wanting the entire vision. What is being given to you instead is the next 2 or 3 steps, just enough to walk forward. And you are going to feel a strange impatience, because you will want the whole picture before you take the first step. Do not demand more than what is being given. The next steps are not small, they are sacred. Take them as they come, and the clarity beyond them will arrive in the same way, one fragment at a time. The temptation is to try to manufacture the rest. Do not do that. The fragments are arriving exactly as fast as you can carry them. The third area is your provision. And here is what I want you to hear honestly. Doors that have been closed in your provision are being unlocked. The opening of those doors is not always a financial event. Sometimes it is a relationship that introduces you to an opportunity. Sometimes it is a piece of information that changes how you see your own work. Sometimes it is a quiet inner shift that lets you finally see the resources that were always there, so watch for it broadly. Do not narrow your eyes only on the wallet. The provision the Father is releasing usually arrives in a form you did not expect, and the chosen ones who receive the most are the ones who recognize it in whatever shape it arrives in. If you can feel the reorganization beginning even now, type the words "I receive" into the comments below. There is a kind of receiving that happens when you say a thing out loud, or type it in front of witnesses, that does not happen when you only think it. Take a breath. The hardest part of this message is behind us. But before we close, there is one obstacle I have seen rise in chosen ones at this exact point in a message like this, and I will not let you miss it. The obstacle is doubt. Not the kind of doubt the world warns you about. A quieter kind. The kind that whispers, "But was my move really that big?" The kind that says, "Sure, this sounds beautiful, but my move was small." The kind that tries to convince you that all of this is about someone else, and you just happened to land on the message. I want you to know that the doubt is not weakness. The doubt is wisdom showing up in the only language it knows. Because the chosen ones who never doubt are usually the ones who do not understand the weight of what they are stepping into. A healthy fear, a sober question, a moment of holy disbelief, those are the marks of someone who actually grasps how big the move was. So, if you have been quietly wondering whether all of this is really for you, that wondering is the proof that you understood, not the proof that you missed it. Let me tell you about a woman who wrote in to share what happened in her own story. She had quietly walked away from a financial agreement that would have asked her to compromise something she believed in. She did not tell anyone. She did not make a scene. She simply said no and accepted the cost. For 6 months afterward, she felt like a fool. She watched people who had made the easier choice continue forward without consequence. She doubted her own decision 100 different ways. And then in the second year, the cascading restoration began. Not just financially, though that came too, the kind of restoration that touches who you trust, who you are, and what you are willing to build. She wrote in to say that the move she felt foolish for was the move that everything else was built on. So tonight, in the quiet of where you are sitting, I want you to release something. Release the framing that your move was small, and you let that go. Release the need to see proof before you are allowed to believe it mattered, and you let that go. Release the comparison to other people whose moves looked bigger from the outside, and you let that go. Release the doubt that the smile of God was really about you, and you let that go. If you are ready, type the words "I release" into the comments below. Before I close this message, I want to put everything you have just heard into the simplest language possible, because clarity matters more than emotion, and I want you to walk away knowing exactly what this was about. Here is why this message reached you tonight. You made a move recently, a move that the world did not celebrate, a move that may have cost you something, and that move registered in the unseen realm in a way that has set a response in motion. The reason this message found its way to you was so that you would know that the response is real and is already moving. Here is what you have learned. Small acts of obedience produce reorganizations that touch your relationships, your purpose, and your provision. The doubt that your move was big enough is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of maturity. The signs that confirmation is coming arrive quietly, in waves of peace, in detachment from the old life, in repeating numbers and timing coincidences. And the formation that prepared you for the move was being built quietly through a season you may have thought was wasted. Here is who you are after this revelation. You are someone whose private faithfulness moves heaven. You are someone whose smallest yes produces ripples you will witness in your own lifetime. That is not poetry. That is the structure of how the kingdom of God actually works. And the work in front of you is simple. Receive what was witnessed. Watch for the signs that confirm the response is moving. Trust that what was set in motion the day of your move is not something you have to push forward. The Father is moving it. Your part is to stay aligned with what He already said. Now, there is one more thing I want to walk you through before we close, because some of you heard me mention it earlier and may have been waiting for me to come back to it. Remember when I told you about a 7-minute audio track called The Genius Song? Let me tell you the full story of what it is and why I believe it was placed in front of you in this season. Chosen ones have always carried something inside them that the world does not have an explanation for, a kind of inner sight, a kind of inheritance that the ancients would have called the God-given mind. That inheritance has a measurable signature in the human brain, and the signature is a frequency that researchers have called gamma. It is the frequency of insight, of clear knowing, of the moments when a thought enters your head fully formed, and you understand without having to figure it out. Dr. Robert Lake spent 34 years studying this, and what he built is actually a sequence of restoration protocols. The Genius Song is the first door. There is more in his work beyond it, including what he calls the youthful brain. But the door you have been led to today is the first one. We will focus there. I want to tell you about a mother who wrote in a few months ago. She had been listening to the audio for about 3 weeks at the time. She wrote that the change she noticed was not what she expected. She had thought it would feel like a burst of energy. Instead, it felt like the static in her mind quieted, and underneath the static was a voice she had not heard since she was about 10 years old. She said that voice has been guiding her decisions ever since. That is the kind of restoration this audio is built to produce. The science behind it is straightforward. 3 decades of research at MIT, Princeton, Stanford, and several other leading universities have mapped what Dr. Lake called the decline effect. The gamma frequency that is fully present in children begins to dim around age 7, and by the time most adults are 40, the frequency has been suppressed by stress, schedules, and the constant noise of modern life. Brain entrainment is the process of gently reintroducing that frequency through carefully calibrated sound. The audio does the work. You only have to listen. So far, 18,366 people have used it, and less than 4% have requested a refund. The data is what it is. I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, I have tried so many things: meditation, manifestation, courses, journals, and none of them did what they promised. I understand the exhaustion in that, but this is not the same category. Meditation asks your brain to change itself from the inside, which is slow and uncertain. Brain entrainment moves the frequency from the outside, which is faster and measurable. It is a different mechanism. And I know some of you are also thinking that you do not have time. The audio is 7 minutes a day. There is no studying, no journaling, no waking at 4 in the morning. And I know some of you are wondering about the price. So let me walk you through the price the way it actually compares. A monthly meditation app subscription runs about $15 a month, which adds up to $180 a year. A single therapy session is around $150. A weekend retreat is anywhere from $400 to $800. None of those target gamma specifically. The audio Dr. Lake built compresses 34 years of his research into 7 minutes a day. The original price he set was $49, but for those who arrive through this message, the price is $39. Not available on Amazon, not available anywhere else. A one-time payment, no subscription, delivered to your inbox. And alongside it, you receive 4 bonuses for free. An audio track calibrated for a child in your life, worth $19. The original book that inspired the modern conversation about manifestation, worth $20. A 22-minute guided visualization through 4 areas of life, worth $29. And a 1-page guide of the 5 daily practices that keep gamma activated, worth $12. $80 in bonuses, free with the $39 purchase. And if the audio does not work for you within 90 days, you get a full refund and you keep all 4 bonuses. Nothing returned, no conditions. Here is the one thing I will say about timing. I am not going to pretend this is artificial scarcity, because it is not. But the moment your spirit was led to this message is the moment that mattered. The chosen ones who walk into the door when it is shown to them are usually the ones who walk into the rest of what is being unfolded. If you wait for a more convenient moment, the impulse that brought you here tonight will fade, and the next door will pass too. That is a pattern I have watched many times. So if your spirit is bearing witness, do not wait. Before you search for this anywhere else, I want you to know something. Imitations exist. There are tracks online that look similar, but they are not built on the same research, and they will not produce the same effect. The only place to find the genius song is the link in the description and the pinned comment below this message. If your spirit is bearing witness that this is the door for your season, the door is right there. Only walk through if you feel led. Now back to who you are after the move you made, because everything I have just walked you through points to one truth, and I want you to receive it before this message ends. You are someone whose private faithfulness moves heaven. You are someone whose smallest yes produces ripples you will witness in your own lifetime. You are someone the Father celebrates without needing the world to applaud. And you are someone marked in the book of remembrance, written down in a way that nothing on earth has the power to erase. I want you to receive that with your whole self. So if you can close your eyes, close them now. If you are driving or somewhere you cannot close them, just soften your gaze and take a slow breath. Now I want you to see the moment you made the move. The actual moment. The room you were in, or the road you were on, or the chair you were sitting in. See yourself making the choice. Now see the Father turn his face toward yours. See the smile begin. See it widen. Hear the laugh roll out of him. Feel the response of heaven settle into the room you are sitting in right now. The same room, the same chair, the same body. Heaven is here. The response has already begun. Stay with that picture for a moment. Take a breath. We have walked through a great deal in this message, and I want you to notice that you are still here. You stayed. That alone is sacred. Whatever weight you brought into this moment about whether your move mattered, let it fall right now. Heaven has already answered. The answer is in motion. Your job is to receive it as it arrives. And before we close, I want to speak this declaration over you, because I made you a promise at the beginning of this message that I would do exactly this. And I want it to follow you into the rest of this week and into the season ahead. I hear the Father saying tonight, I saw what my child did. I smiled, I laughed, and I am answering. Behold, the response is on its way. And I declare over you, chosen one, that you are seen, you are marked. Your obedience has been received. Doors that have been closed for longer than you can name are unlocking right now. People who have been delayed in their assignment to find you are being released to walk in your direction. The clarity you have been quietly asking for in your purpose is being placed in your hands, one fragment at a time, as fast as you can carry it. And the provision that has been held back is being reordered to arrive in the form and at the time that the Father knows is right. You are not alone in this. Right now, all across the world, chosen ones are receiving this exact word in their own quiet rooms, and a great gathering of the faithful is happening that almost no one can see. There is a path beyond this season that Dr. Lake's work points toward, what he calls the destiny's embrace, a deeper restoration of what you were always meant to walk in. And that path will continue to unfold in its own time. For now, what is being sealed tonight is the answer to the move you have already made. So receive it. Let it settle into the deepest place in you. If you receive what is being spoken over you tonight, type the words, "My move, moved heaven," into the comments below, and say it with the conviction of someone who knows it is true. In Jesus' name, Amen. And so, it is sealed. If this message brought clarity to your confusion, if it brought peace to the noise you have been carrying, if it brought confirmation to what your own spirit has been quietly trying to tell you, let your like be your amen without words. And one more thing, before you leave this moment. While you have been listening, someone came to mind. You may not even know why. Someone who made a quiet choice that no one celebrated. Someone who has been wondering this week whether it mattered. Someone holding their obedience in silence, waiting for a sign that they are not alone. Send this message to them. Text it, email it, send it however you need to, because your obedience tonight could be their confirmation tomorrow. The same way this message was placed in front of you, it can be placed in front of them. Do not overthink it, just send it. Thank you for staying. Thank you for being the kind of soul who walks through an entire message and listens to the end. Until the next time, chosen one, walk in what was activated tonight. The response is on its way.